Perhaps no other sexual act is surrounded by so much mythology, anxiety, clumsy jokes, and let's be frank, catastrophically bad techniques borrowed from adult films. It's whispered about, bragged about in locker rooms, dreamed of, and feared. But what if I told you it's not just foreplay, not an alternative when you can't go all the way, and definitely not an exam you have to pass? What if it's an entire philosophy in miniature? A test of trust, an act of pure generosity, and possibly the most intimate conversation you can have without saying a single word. Today, we're diving into the philosophy, psychology, and of course, the anatomy of this unique interaction. Let's get into it. First, let's satisfy our inner cynic and ask the pragmatic question: why? From a strictly evolutionary standpoint, it doesn't seem to make much sense. The direct result for procreation is 0.0. So why did nature not only leave us this option, but also make it a source of extraordinary pleasure? One theory is that it strengthens pair bonds. During this kind of intimacy, especially during orgasm, the body releases a huge amount of oxytocin. That's the famous cuddle hormone, or bonding hormone, responsible for the connection between a mother and child and between partners. It's essentially a biochemical glue that makes us feel closer. Another, more exotic theory from evolutionary psychology suggests it's a way to taste test a partner's immune system. Yes, you heard that right. Through saliva and other fluids, our primal brain supposedly gets a report on genetic compatibility. It's conducting a kind of quality control. Romantic, isn't it? Next time you're enjoying the moment, you can proudly think of it as engaging in some serious genetic analysis. But let's leave biology behind and move to what makes this practice truly unique. It's psychology. Oral sex is perhaps the ultimate act of vulnerability and trust in physical intimacy. Think about it. A person is literally giving one of the most sensitive, most defenseless parts of their body over to the complete control of another person. In that moment, there is no armor. There's nowhere to hide. It requires colossal trust. In this dynamic, typical patterns are broken. The person receiving must completely relax, let go of control, and trust. Any tension, any attempt to help or direct ruins the magic. The person giving, on the other hand, is completely focused on the other's pleasure. It's a moment where one's own ego takes a back seat. Your attention, your actions, your senses, everything is directed towards the other person. It's a dynamic that creates a unique balance and connection. And here we come to another fascinating aspect: the dynamics of power and generosity. For some, it can be an act of service, even submission. For others, it's an opportunity to dominate and completely control a partner's pleasure. Both scenarios have a right to exist as long as they are part of a conscious game between two people. But in the healthiest and most common scenario, it is an act of pure generosity. It's a gift you give not because you have to, and not to get something in return. You give it because you enjoy giving pleasure. And like with any good gift, the most important thing isn't the gift itself, but the enthusiasm and attention with which you give it. All right, we've sorted through the philosophy. Now let's come down from the clouds and talk about practice. Because even the most sincere gift can be ruined if you wrap it in barbed wire. And the main supplier of barbed wire on this topic is, of course, pornography. Porn is theater for the camera. It's a performance. Its goal is to create the most visually stimulating picture for the viewer, not to show real intimacy. What looks impressive on screen can, in real life, be ineffective at best and painful at worst. So, myth number 1 that we're busting today, it's all about speed and depth. The reality? No. Imagine you're trying to tune a radio. If you frantically spin the dial, you'll only hear noise and static. But if you do it slowly, attentively, listening closely, you'll find your favorite station. It's the same here. This is a marathon, not a sprint. The key is rhythm, attention to detail, and most importantly, your partner's reaction. Myth number 2. Everyone instinctively knows what to do. Absolute nonsense. Nobody is born with a diploma in cunnilingus or fellatio. It's a skill, like playing the guitar or cooking a perfect steak. It requires practice, a desire to learn, and most importantly, feedback. The best lovers aren't the ones who've seen the most porn. They're the ones who are the best listeners, and not just with their ears. And to listen effectively, you need to know some anatomy. Not the boring textbook kind, but our reality glitch version. Let's be clear. The clitoris is not a tiny on-off button. It's an iceberg. What we see on the outside is just the glands, the tip. The entire structure is much larger, with legs that extend internally. In total, it has over 8,000 nerve endings, twice as many as the head of the penis. So focusing on just one spot is like trying to start a fire by blowing on a single spark while ignoring a whole pile of kindling right next to it. Now for male anatomy. The penis is not a monolithic piece of rock. It's a complex instrument with different zones of sensitivity. The most sensitive parts are the frenulum, the small fold of skin underneath, and the corona, the ridge of the glands. The shaft itself is less sensitive. Therefore, chaotic back and forth movements, especially involving teeth, are just noise. But rhythmic, targeted stimulation of key areas, that's music. So how do you become a virtuoso? Forget about the 100,000 secret techniques from the internet. It all comes down to 3 simple but fundamental things. First, enthusiasm. If you're doing this with the facial expression of an unpaid intern at a boring job, believe me, it's noticeable. Your mood, your desire, that's 50% of the success. If you're not in the mood, it's better not to start. But if you have started, do it like it's the most fascinating thing in the world. Insincerity is detected instantly. Second, communication. This doesn't mean you have to chatter nonstop. Communication is not just verbal. Your hands are an extension of the dialogue. Use them. Explore your partner's body. Change the rhythm. Watch their breathing, their body movements. These are all answers. And yes, don't be afraid to ask, do you like this? How about this? It doesn't kill the moment, it creates it. You're showing that you care. And third, curiosity. Be an explorer, not a robot executing a program. Every time you can discover something new. Forget about right and wrong. There is only feels good and not so much. Try different pressures, different speeds, different patterns. The world of oral sex is much bigger than simple linear stimulation. So, to sum up, oral sex is so much more than just a physical act. It's a psychological dance of trust, generosity, and attention. It's a language you can use to say, I see you, I value you, and your pleasure is important to me. And when you approach it with this philosophy, the right technique becomes not a memorized move, but a natural result of your closeness. So next time you find yourself in this situation, remember this. You're not just performing an act. You're giving a gift, conducting a session of trust, and speaking the oldest language in the world. Communicate. explore, and for heaven's sake, enjoy it. Both of you.